So today I'm going to tell you about this car. The appearance, of course, is for enthusiasts. Not everyone will like it. You know how I film cars. Some I wait for and look for to film, while others come across randomly. It looks stunning. Not just beautiful, but absolutely stunning. I truly can't explain it, but indeed it looks great, like a piece of inexplicable primitive art. Truly a remarkable masterpiece. Our Niva will leave no one indifferent. Most people, myself included, consider the car a monument and an enduring, honest classic. Some people confidently say that it is outdated and belongs in a museum. But believe me, even those who don't like her secretly treat her warmly. I'm sure of that. Niva, almost 50 years on the assembly line. Well, all right, just a little more and it will be 50. They've done everything with it. And here you have another take on this topic. The author of this remarkable, and by remarkable I mean noticeable, Nizhny Novgorod company Promtech. What makes this company so special? Creating commercial trucks based on both domestic and international, as well as other serial models. Probably the main highlight of their products is the simplicity of the design, practicality, and affordability. I don't know what kind of body style this is. Nothing fits in the classical sense. It's neither a minivan, just look at the hood, nor a station wagon. Look at what they've crafted on top. But in length, I can tell you, it's just shy of 5 meters. Look at what they've put on top. But in length, I can tell you, it's just shy of 5 meters. That means the car is 1 meter and 16 centimeters longer than a regular Niva. In width, due to the extension, the car has also grown by 15 centimeters at the shoulders. Well, there's no need to talk about the height. The Cuba is 2 meters and 80 centimeters. How did they manage to stretch the old lady like that? Some journalists claim that this is a unibody chassis. A unibody. The idea is simple. Here we have a semi-frame. In short, they essentially took the car, basically cut off a part of it, and then welded a semi-frame underneath, essentially, in essence. The principle is simple. The cut-off part of the car represents the front section up to the pillar. But they cut the roof with some extra length. The side panels and the back wall are welded in behind the doors. Ideally, there's no wall here, but more on that later. Remember this. The rear setup is all done by ourselves. It's a frame and panel design, and it's all covered in plastic. With putty and a ton of sealant, the windows are carefully and securely glued in, and now, indeed, the magic truly begins. In the Niva, there are 8 seats. Well, let's go. You know, it's actually quite comfortable to sit here. All of the walls are completely covered in plastic, which looks pretty good and nice. I would even say neat. The passageway leading towards back row is through this seat. We'll get to that a bit later. In the front seats, passengers enjoy the luxury of a dedicated climate control system. This system is designed to direct air right at them, ensuring a personalized comfort level. During the chilly winter months, this feature keeps the front area of the car exceptionally... And the legs, well, they'll get the air blown from there to you. I have to give credit where it's due. Visually, everything looks quite neat if you don't look too closely. And I'm trying to look too closely all the time. The 2 rear rows are mounted on a welded frame. It's quite rugged. What do you think about the fact that the passengers' feet are pressed against the back of the front seat? Well, they could have covered this with some plastic or made a nice little wall here. Today, I noticed that some small windows have frozen over, which is quite unusual. There's also a large sunroof, just like the one in my Ziguli from the 90s. Reminds me of those days when I drove with the sunroof open, enjoying the fresh air. The sunroof was a feature I loved because it made the car feel more open and connected to the world. It's interesting how such details can bring back vivid memories. Let's crawl back. and it's quite spacious here. You might ask, what do the rear passengers lack? Well, first of all, the windows don't open. Secondly, try to find even one cup holder. There's none. There's also no armrests, and they could have at least made some kind of additional features like a small convenient table or armrests for comfort and utility purposes. But there is an LED light here, but I can't turn it on, because only the driver can do that. Rear is intriguing. Axle is Niva's, Tech Leap with flip. Springs VIZ-2349. Airbags, C extended beams, cross members below. The springs are from the VIZ-2349 and there are airbags. By the way, from below you can clearly see those same extended side members with crossbars. Since the car has grown, a longer cardan shaft with an intermediate support from the transfer case was installed. Its exhaust system and other little details The lower part of the door panels is specifically from the Largus, and then there's the sculptural shaping. And how exactly are the windows glued in, you know, huh? Absolutely and truly magnificent. Original. And what is this? Exactly, precisely, specifically? Gazelle. Uneven terrain and sealant. Rear lights from Gazelle Business. The doors are swing doors. There's a query. Swing doors, but where are the locks if parked on a slope? But where are any kind of locks? What if the car is parked on a slope? But what if there's a strong gust of wind? But there's a very useful step. Why? 5 cubic meters of space if you throw the seats out of here? There's a trunk here. You can fold the seats down, but the floor won't be flat. But you can fold the seats down, but again, there won't be a flat floor because the seats are bolted down tightly. Well, you can take them off, of course, but I won't be doing that. The frame will still remain securely within the cabin, and there is absolutely no lighting present at all. As I previously mentioned, the doors are designed without any locks whatsoever. However, that situation is perfectly acceptable and not a problem. And also, look, remember I told you about the lack of a wall in the cabin. You see, the pillar is loose, and the hinges have already broken here. There's a gap, and the paint has cracked here. Isn't it a miracle? But who would doubt it, of course? Nothing changes over the decades. Why change it when it's already great? It's worth taking a look under the hood just like that. There's nothing special there, even the jack is old school. The spare tire is upside down because of the vacuum booster that got bigger at some point. In the production version, the engine is 1.7 liters and produces 87 horsepower, but for the Cube, they made it more powerful. 106 horsepower. You might say, that's already something. Well, maybe. And how did they do that? And how did they do that? Well, just assumptions. But the fact that they put in Chinese flashlights is cool. Like these are cool. Whoa, it's already come off. Let's briefly mention the interior, or rather the front part of the car. Everything here is standard, just like in the Niva. Overall, I like everything that AvtoVAZ has done. So right away, the front seat backs fold down. Well, I agree, there's no point in changing it. And this little coffin right over here, can you see it right now? This is the airbag inflation system, as you can observe. A piece of a Chinese pump. But where's the actual pump? Over there, right there. Just a Chinese compressor. And now all European manufacturers have pneumatics. Was that even possible? Indeed, certainly so. Oh, a tip, you know how we can also modify this. You could also very easily buy a long Chinese hose like an accordion. Put a ball valve here, and you could simply inflate the wheels too. Don't just dismiss all these crooked elements you see here, like the small angles and the parts that seem a bit wobbly or uneven. There's a reason it had to be designed in this particular manner, and similarly, this other aspect also needed to follow this specific approach. Despite how it might appear at first glance, everything is actually in order and quite satisfactory. It's all good, and everything is nice and well thought out. Motherland. So perhaps shall we maybe have a party in the back? You think perhaps? Party for the truly incredible dad, a wonderful and unforgettable celebration. Wow, my goodness. The weight of the car. The permissible gross weight is 2,150 kilograms. The payload capacity is 850. We'll believe it, but it's hard to believe. But for sure, even with the high body, the car is stable in corners. Thanks to the extended body, it naturally doesn't tip over. The springs and the shocks make this Niva's ride very, very, very pleasant. It's very nice to drive slowly. Driving fast just doesn't work. Where are the 106 horses? Hey! You just wave the poker. You simply wave it. You indeed lure them to you. But it's as if they really aren't there. Imagine Nivas as armored vehicles, ambulances, and other Rostec fairy tales. Plus, it has a ground clearance of 240 millimeters. Theoretically, you can also drive slowly off-road, crush the snow, because thankfully, the all-wheel drive and transfer case are still here. And it also has a ground clearance of 240 millimeters. Two things that are really annoying. The rear view mirror. Just peeking a little bit more under the skirts. Did you see the side flaps by any chance? We literally need to put some flaps from a Gazelle here. And also the turning radius, as well as 4 rows from edge to edge in total, just to turn around approximately like a horse in a manner similar to... Oh, the brakes, the little brakes. The weight of the cars has increased, but the brakes are still same. And if you load the car all the way to the ceiling, well, they really feel kind of soft, oily, like really oily. You press the pedal, the car keeps moving. You have to get used to it. You press the pedal and the car keeps moving. You have to get used to it. And when a Russian person gets used to everything, you know, fixing something by themselves will be a joy. Now about the price. 1,800,000 rubles. Well, it's not super expensive, but it's still quite a lot. Yes, 8 seats. Yes, it's assembled by hand, which is very noticeable. But who is it aimed at? Who will buy it? I'm a bit taken aback, to be honest. With a truly unique and unforgettable design, an incredible and diverse range of items and products are meticulously crafted in a... I hope they'll fix them over time. Well, for now. For now. And the smell of gasoline in the cabin is just awful. And I looked, there's no leak anywhere. The creators probably made a mistake. With the output, evaporation.